The great ship was a gash of darkness against the stars, its alien architecture all soft curves and silent menace. It had fallen on the edge of the sprawling human outpost, a place of grinding metal and stubborn dirt. The inhabitants watched it from a wary distance, weapons in hand as a single graceful pod ejected and streaked towards the settlement's medical dome. Inside the dome, the human medics worked with frantic, useless haste. The being on the table was like nothing they had ever seen. Her skin held the shifting hues of a twilight sky, and a delicate, crystalline structure traced patterns along her temples. Now, those patterns were dim, flickering like a failing bulb. Her chest was marred by a terrible wound that seeped not blood, but a luminous, silver fluid that evaporated into faint mist. Their scanners chirped and whirred, offering no answers. Her biology was a locked book, and she was dying on the final page. A crowd had gathered outside the clear steel observation wall. Among them stood a man. He was not a leader here, nor a scientist. He was a former soldier, his frame still bearing the solidity of that life, his eyes holding the quiet distance of one who has seen too much conflict. He had come to the edge of the known worlds seeking silence, not this. He watched the frantic efforts, the way the alien's light faded with each shallow, struggling breath. A deep, old ache stirred within him. It was the memory of loss, of watching life slip away while feeling utterly helpless. The head medic, a woman with lines of exhaustion etched deep, pushed through the door. Her face was grim. "We're losing her. Her physiology is incompatible with any treatment we have. She's bleeding something that isn't blood, and our coagulants are like water to her. She will be gone within the hour." A murmur ran through the crowd. Fear, curiosity, a thick sense of impotence. The former soldier did not speak. He was looking past the medic, at the dying princess. He saw not an alien, but a warrior fallen far from home. The honor in that was universal. The loneliness of it was a vast, cold sea, not an idea, born of despair and instinct, clawed its way up from the depths of his mind. It was a fragment from an old, half-remembered briefing on extreme field xenobiology. A theory, a wild guess, that suggested a possible fundamental compatibility in the iron-based oxygen carriers of certain species. It was listed under speculative last resort actions with a 99.9% projected failure rate. The 0.1% was a ghost, a maybe. He moved before his conscious mind could argue. He stepped forward. "I have a suggestion." The medic looked at him, recognizing the cast of his features. "This isn't a battlefield triage. We need science." "You don't have science that works," he said, his voice low but carrying. "You have minutes. I am offering a possibility. It is based on a shared component, iron. Her life fluid resonates on a spectrum our instruments can barely detect, but the base carrier might be molecularly analogous to hemoglobin. It is a guess, but it is the only one you have." The medical team stared. The theory was known, considered reckless in the extreme. Introducing foreign biological material was more likely to trigger a catastrophic systemic collapse. The alien princess stirred. Her eyes, large and the color of molten amber, opened. They did not scan the room in panic. They found the former soldier's face through the observation wall. A look passed between them, a profound, acknowledging exhaustion. She gave a faint, almost imperceptible nod. It was consent. It was a relinquishing of hope to the hands of fate. "Do it," the head medic whispered, defeated by the clock. They prepared a direct transfusion line. The former soldier sat on a cot beside the alien table. He rolled up his sleeve. The needle was cold. He watched as the dark red blood of Earth traveled through the clear tube, a vivid ribbon of life moving from his world to hers. For a long moment, nothing happened. The steady, weak flicker of her crystalline patterns continued to fade. The medical monitors showed no change. Then, a low hum began to build in the room, not from the machines, but from the air itself. The silver mist rising from her wound seemed to thicken, to swirl. Then it happened. The human blood in the line, where it met the strange fluid at the junction of the needle in her arm, began to glow. Not a sickly light, but a brilliant, golden radiance. It traveled back up the tube towards him and forward into her. The soldier felt a profound warmth, then a searing heat that raced up his arm and flooded his chest. His heart hammered against his ribs, a drumbeat sinking to a new, external rhythm. On the table, the princess arched slightly. Her amber eyes blazed with internal light. The crystalline patterns on her skin ignited, not with their former soft glow, but with a network of fierce, golden fire that traced up her neck and across her face. The terrible wound in her chest began to knit. It did not scar. The flesh rewove itself, the strange silver fluid now streaked with threads of brilliant gold, solidifying and sealing the breach. But the change was not hers alone. The soldier gasped. The heat within him was transforming, settling. He felt a surge of vitality so potent it was dizzying, but beneath it was a strange, new awareness. He could feel the air currents in the room as physical textures. He could see the heat signatures of the people around him, overlapping with their physical forms. A low, harmonic resonance vibrated in his bones. A song he somehow knew was the electromagnetic pulse of the medical equipment, the distant thrum of the outpost's generator. The transfusion was halted. The physical connection was broken, but something else had been forged. He stood unsteady, looking at his own hands. He saw the faint tracery of gold under his skin, following his veins. A mirror to the patterns now blazing softly on the princess, who was slowly sitting up. She looked at him, and her voice, when it came, was not sound alone. It resonated directly in his mind, a melody of chiming crystal in deep space. You gave your essence, your lifeblood. It did not replace. It hybridized. We are now a bridge. The medical dome was a cathedral of stunned silence. The head medic, reading the suddenly active scanners, spoke in a hushed tone of awe. Their cellular structures have merged at a foundational level. It's not two biologies anymore. It's a new, stable symbiosis. She is healing with his regenerative capacity. He is. Perceiving with her sensory matrix. The soldier walked to the princess's side. He did not need to speak. His thought, clumsy and human-formed, drifted towards her. What are we? Her amber eyes held his. We are the first resonance. My people communicate, heal, and perceive through bioresonant fields. Your blood, your iron core, was not a poison. It was a catalyst. It provided the stable anchor our resonant biology requires to manifest physically in this dimension. We are now linked. What I feel, you may sense. What you see, I may perceive. As the days passed, the truth of it unfolded. The soldier found he could sense the health of the plants in the hydroponics bay. A dull ache for the wilted, a bright chord for the healthy. He could feel the approach of people before they rounded a corner, a unique resonance for each individual. The princess, in turn, began to understand the human concept of touch beyond a field interaction. She felt the solidity of a table, the texture of cloth, with a new, direct physical nerve feedback she had never possessed. Her people, the Lumin, arrived in their silent, curved ships. They were beings of gentle light and soft hums, and they beheld the pair with a shock that vibrated the very air. Their princess lived, but she was changed. And beside her, a human, glowing with the same resonant signature, the Lumin elders convened. They explained. Their species was fading. Their homeworld's resonance was dimming, a slow, cosmic twilight. Their biology was becoming unstable, unable to anchor itself fully, leading to illnesses like the one that had nearly claimed their princess. They were a people slowly becoming ghosts in their own universe. The human, the soldier, he understood then. His blood, the blood of humanity, was not merely compatible. It was the missing key. The iron core, the fierce, stubborn physicality of humankind, was the foundation upon which the Lumin's resonant biology could stabilize and thrive. It was not a domination, but a completion. The elders made a solemn offer. Not an invasion, not a conquest. A communion. A voluntary joining. A chance to build a bridge between two forms of life, to create something new. The soldier looked at the princess, his life now inextricably woven with hers. He thought of his own people, fractious, stubborn, often violent, but possessed of a boundless, enduring strength. A strength that could now serve as a pillar for another. He agreed. The news spread across human space. Not of a rescue, but of a revelation. The first joined pairs were volunteers from both species. The process was profound, intimate, and permanent. A Lumin gained a concrete strength, a durability they had never known. A human gained a depth of perception, a connection to the subtle fields of the universe, an empathic sense that transcended language. The dying Lumin homeworld saw its first new blossoms in a millennium, their colors vibrant under the care of human-linked gardeners who felt the soil's song. Human engineers, working with Lumin partners, conceived of starships that navigated by resonant harmonics, slipping between points with an elegance physics had said was impossible. The former soldier and the alien princess stood together on a ridge overlooking the burgeoning joint colony. Below, the two species mingled not as separate groups, but in pairs and teams, their very auras a soft, blended glow of gold and sil.